everybody, it's Matt the Dice Trucker from the Literary Gamers coming to you with another review. Today we're taking a look at Evergreen. This is from designer Hjalmar Hawk, and Horrible Guild is the publisher. Let's head down to the table and see how it plays, and then I'll meet you back up here in a few seconds. So here we have Evergreen set up for a two-player game. Now there's a lot of stuff to look at, so I'm going to try to do my best to hit as many rules as I can. What you're going to be doing is playing throughout 4 light cycles of the game in different directions, and you'll be collecting cards into your tableau as you go along. So it's going to be all these different cards here. Well, you're not really collecting a tableau, but just for the round tracker, doing actions and then growing things on your board. Now, the first thing you do in the game, and we'll talk about that for the end game scoring purposes, is choose a card. So the first player is going to choose a card, and you're looking and paying attention at those fertility symbols. The exception that this card has aridity or an arid symbol. So in the end of the game, you're going to look at that biome and how many big trees you have and multiply it by the number of fertility symbols at the top of the cards, with the exception that the arid card would cause any forest symbol up there to be covered and placed face down. Now, because we don't have one in the biome right now, this would just get discarded without effect. But right now we're looking at these 3 and where we want to build. So you're either building in the tundra, the forest, or the swamp over there. Okay, so let's say as the first player I take this because I don't want it up there. So I place it in front of me. Because I'm the first player, I then put this there, and whoever takes that card will be the first player. That card is not chosen, first player bounces back to the first player. Alright, so not going to simulate that for us here because I don't have enough space on the camera. So what happens next is you're going to do one of these 4 actions listed here in the forest biome. So you can either place 3 sticks, you can grow 2 trees, you can place a stick and grow a tree, or forego the biome itself and just place a stick wherever you want, or a tree wherever you want. So if I took the 3 sticks option, I would place them here, here, and here. Okay. Keeping in mind that after I've collected 5 cards, I'm going to get sun points for everything pointing in this direction. If you've played photosynthesis, you've already got a pretty good grasp on how sun points are going to work, but I'll explain that more when we get there. Then you're going to take a look at the bottom of the card, and you're going to do the action on top of your board. One of 2 things can happen. All of your actions start at 0. So you can choose, with this card, which is the bud, to, instead of doing the action, just move the peg up by 1. Okay? Alright, so, and that happens with all of these. Later on, if I did that same thing, I'd take a look at the number underneath and I'd fulfill the action. So this one is, of course, add more sticks to wherever you want. Grow a tree, a level 1 tree, which are these here. Grow a big tree. Do the buds, which are just getting straight points. Place water, which causes an immediate growth to everything surrounding it. So if I did, like, let's say I had this happening. I know it's not what the card was, but let's just say for example purposes I had that. And I place the water here. Actually, it's only 2 next to it that grow, so I would take these 2 out and place a big tree here. Sorry, not a big tree. A small tree here and a small tree there. Alright. I could also place a bush. Bushes don't collect any light points. However, they do count for contiguous forest, which gets scored at the end of the light cycle. And this is going to happen until you have 5 cards. What happens once you have 5 cards? The first thing you do here is you collect sun points. Small trees collect 1 point. Large trees collect 2. So for this example, I get 1 point. Sticks don't block light. 2 points. So I get 2 points. Now, let's say this somehow had gotten to be that big tree. So what would happen is I'd collect 1 sun point for that tree, 2 for that tree, but because the shadow of this tree touches that one, this gets no points. In fact, I believe it's not until it reaches here, because it casts a shadow of 2, that you get points for something else. Alright, then you count how long your forest is, and then it's points based off the type of tree you have. I'm just going to check that while I'm looking up some stuff here. And then, let's see, contiguous forest here. 1 point for each thing. So it's 1 point for everything in there. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 points for that. Then we clean up and we start a new round collecting 4 cards. And the seasons get shorter. Sorry, the sun moves over here, so now you're collecting all your light points going from this direction. And then it'll go here, and then here, and then the game is done, and these rounds get shorter as you move along. Okay, so end game scoring, pretty much like I said. I'm just going to create a situation here. Let's say that, and this is going to be much larger when you play, of course. I think all that's in shot. Okay. So let's throw a few things out here for the sake of example. And then one here. Okay, so let's say this is what your board looks like at the end of the game. Just a slight hint, it won't look like this. It'll look much more populated. So for red, or orange red, you would count how many big trees you have, and that's 2 times 4, and you'd get 8 points. For blue, it would only be 2 points. For yellow, it's nothing. I have no big trees there. And for green, it's 1 times 1. All right. So that's how that works. And you're going to be growing this tableau as the game progresses. Of course, if the deck ever runs out, you're going to shuffle. The only other type of card in here we didn't talk about is the wild, which looks like this. All right. And they all have the, I believe there's different symbols on the bottom of each of them, where you can choose any biome. However, they don't contribute to the fertility up there. And you're going to be doing this until the end of the game. Whoever has the most points wins. And of course, you have a tracker here if you ever get past 50, going all the way up to 250. And that's pretty much Evergreen. Any questions, let me know in the comments below. And let's head back up and talk about my thoughts on this game. So that's Evergreen. This is the spiritual successor to Photosynthesis. We used to own Photosynthesis when we first got it. We played it a lot. We really had a great time with it. We played the expansion. We weren't huge fans of the expansion, but we still thought it was a good game and an approachable game for a lot of people, as long as you were okay with the massive amount of take that happening in Photosynthesis. One of the things I'd like to talk about with that game is, and it didn't really happen in 2-player, but I heard a lot of criticism about it, is somebody can launch right into the 4 zone at the beginning of the game, kind of take over the map, and then just plant there without ever taking that point token. And if I'm remembering correctly, in a 2-player game, that doesn't really happen often because you only get the 3-point tokens in that system. So that didn't bother us too much, but we did feel that after a while the game got a little stale. And that happens. I mean, this is a whole topic of discussion for another day, but it does happen where a game just eventually peters out. It's fine. And, you know, you hope to send that game off either to the library or to a friend you know who's going to enjoy it as much as you enjoyed it. That being said, Evergreen pretty much has taken over the position that Photosynthesis had in our collection. I love the card play here, that even though you're not just collecting light points like you are in Photosynthesis, you are kind of getting the cards to prep for what you're going to be doing. You know, in that first round, you've got a lot of time, and as time goes on, you're just lessening and lessening time. I love the different things, like the water and the bushes. The water, if you're really strapped for time and you need to grow something quickly just to get light points, boom, you throw down some water and 2 things can spurt right up, as long as they're adjacent. The bushes can take something like you haven't been able to get that 1 card for the biome you needed, but you're able to throw that bush down, you get a point for it, and it connects 2 areas that you're looking to get your largest continuous forest there. And even the idea that the bottom action on the cards, where you're either are making that action more powerful or you are cashing in on that action to make to just get it going. Like my first few games, I spent most of that first round with the 5 cards building those actions up, and then because I could see, you know, time was going to be lessened as the game went on. And then it comes time to activate some of that, and all of a sudden I've got trees all over the place, I've got things growing, I've got water being thrown out on the board, bushes attaching everything. Really a lot of strategy here, and I like it a lot. So let's see, what else do I want to talk about? The endgame scoring I found to be neat. It's not particularly unique, but I like that you as a table are building it up. You could choose to play the semi-cooperative version and make sure that none of those aridity cards get into the fertility pool. Or you can choose to say, hey, he or she has got like 5, 6 big trees in red, and I don't want them to score that. All right, well then, boom, there's an arid card on a 3-symbol fertility thing. Neat, and neat how they create all that going on here. There's a lot of games that have been coming out recently about nature. I'm looking at a few in the review pile I've got to play today that are about nature. So how does this one stack up to other games of this style? I think Evergreen is a game that I will show to people who are on step 2 of designer gaming. This is not a game I would introduce people into the hobby with. I'm still leaning on games like Forbidden Island, Azul, even Quacks at Quedlinburg. Those are games that I would still lean on for showing people new games in the hobby. And I know Quacks is a bit of a stretch, but I still have yet to show a bad game of Quacks at Quedlinburg. Evergreen, I think, is the next step. And that's who I say this is for. This is for people who love playing nature games. But as far as introducing games to players, this is level 2, I would say. Mainly because of the way the endgame scoring works, and the way that this game kind of does lean a little bit on your knowledge of photosynthesis. But once you see a full round go through, it's pretty straightforward. The only downside is the full round is the longest round and the round you need to plan the most. So if you're ever showing this to somebody new, I recommend doing a practice full round once and then playing the game as it is. So, Evergreen, I think, is just a fantastic game. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think of in the comments below. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel. Every little bit helps. And we'll see you next time, everybody. That is Hjalmar Hawk's Evergreen from Horrible Guild. High recommendation. I think I give this a 7.75, 8 out of 10. So, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.